We're catching up on the latest adventures from Adelaide, and we've caught up with Kevin. You're showing off a new game, brand new game here at E3. Introduce us to it first.
The game is called The Devil's Man. It's a steampunk crime adventure. So you have to solve a murder mystery in 1871 England in a small seaside town. So it's a bit different to other steampunk games, which all take place in this foggy, Londony setting. It's a bit more sunny there, but it's still a very dark story.
I think there's a lot of games that are set in this sort of Victorian alternative history here at E3. Of course, your game is kind of different. It's not an action game. There's a lot of those out there. What I really enjoyed about your presentation, what you showed the game, was just the amount of depth that gone into the backstory of this world and sort of how you fleshed out this town that you're going to play in. And can you tell us a little bit about the work that's gone into that?
Yeah, the town, it was very important for me to get the town as believable as possible, because it sounds like a cliche, but it's a character. You spend a lot of time in this game, in this town, and I really want the town to grow onto you. And the steampunk thing is a very, very nice way. On one hand side, it's this design thing because things look cool and historical, and on the other hand, it's very romantic. You know, if you play it, it's a place you want to be that looks interesting, and that is still very close to our world. So you can tell the story about and play a game about things that are still very close to what is happening today, in a way.
And a very interesting point in history as well. There are a lot of things happening. It's a little bit like a watershed moment there, where things could have gone in other directions and things like that. In terms of the post-industrial sort of...
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, right. And in our game, as an alternative history thing, in our game, the difference to the real world is that there was this World Exhibition Fair, which actually happened in the 1851 year in London. But in our version, part of it took place in this little seaside town. And during this exhibition, some very dangerous people came into town. Some kind of, if you want to put it like super villain guys. They don't have superpowers, but they are very criminal masterminds, and they're calling themselves the Devil's Men. And they gave themselves the names of fictional characters who sold their souls to the devil, like Dr. Faustus, if people heard about that. And they are being killed in this game. So somebody's killing off the bad guys. And that's the murder mystery, to try to figure out who is actually killing them, and is the person killing them worse than those people? Or is he a good one because he's trying to get rid of the bad one? So it's this morally ambiguous thing that's going on there in the background.
And speaking of that, there's moral ambiguity in the two main characters as well. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and I like the sort of the seesaw design of it. That's you play as two female characters, and their dynamic is very interesting.
Yeah, you play as you said, two female characters. One is called Adelaide Spectre. And she is the daughter of Sherlock Holmes-like detective who abandoned her as a child, and she's never found out why. He just disappeared from one day to the next, so maybe something bad happened to him. And that forced her from her safe middle-class life into poverty. And now she lives on the streets, and she wants to get back into society to have a decent life again. And she realizes that these murders are somehow connected to the disappearance of her father. So she starts working together with another character that you're playing. Her name is Emily, and Emily is the right-hand woman of a local gang lord. And she's a murderer herself. So she's the total opposite of Adelaide. And they together work on this crime mystery. And as you pointed out, there's the seesaw thing. that you have to make decisions throughout the game that will affect the story, and these decisions are always designed that whenever you do something good for Adelaide, something bad for Emily will happen. So the further the story advances, the more you have to decide which of those characters you want to favor and how you're playing them out. It's a bit of a role-playing game, if you want to put it. You play the roles of those two characters, and they have to decide if they are if they are selfish or if they are selfless. And where it's getting harder and harder to balance those two storylines and make it good for both of them.
But also sounds like you're getting a very different experience depending on what choices you make, and that's core to the experience as well.
Yeah, the further the story advances, the more radically different the storylines are. In the beginning it's all very similar, so if I restart the game it's still very similar. I can solve puzzles differently, but the way I solve them will affect later events in the story. So it's very important for me that the player always has the feeling, and he knows that what he does will affect the storyline, and that he is actually experiencing the consequences of what he does. So it's not really a very new take. Like Telltale does that a lot, and like David Cage, and they do it. But what we're doing, we're combining this with traditional adventure gameplay with puzzle solving, and that the puzzle solving itself can be a decision. So we're mixing those two and trying to make a new kind of gameplay experience with that game.
And I almost felt like, you know, usually when you're playing an adventure game, you're just looking for that right solution. But now you have to think a little bit differently about that solution. It's not just about solving the puzzle; it's about how it affects the game that you're playing, your adventure.
Yeah, sometimes you see a problem and you immediately know how you can solve it, but you don't know if this is the right thing to do. And you can invest more time in trying to find a different approach and maybe solve it in a different way. But you always know that there is this easy way out. So if you get stuck, you can still decide to take the other road. So that's very important for me, so that people who like to think about puzzles can think about them. But if you get stuck, you know what to do to advance to get the story advancing.
And maybe it can fit a little bit different people with different play styles more than typically adventure games. Very complex puzzles sometimes can get, you know, some people want to just enjoy the story, may not want to invest that time into sort of finding all the steps of a puzzle.
Yeah, yes, of course. The focus is a lot on the story, so I hope that people also pick it up for the story. And the puzzle is, as I said, it's a way of transporting the story, of delivering the story to the player. So the things you do are always connected to the story. And if you like puzzles, you can always try to figure out more complex ways of solving them and see different parts of the story. Or if you don't like that, you can still play it through the end and you don't get stuck that easily.
All right, so this is basically the first day of your public journey with this game. Now it's out there, now people can know what to expect. What's the roadmap ahead, and when will we get to see the final game?
There's still a lot to do. I'm very excited to show it here. It's the first time people actually see it. And yeah, a lot of work to do. It will be released mid-2015 for PC and Mac.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.